All right, let's go ahead and tear this thing apart. You want to have some type of drop cloth or something down just so you can catch the fluid. So when you crack this open, whatever's left in here is going to pour out. So you're going to make a little bit of a mess. If you had some type of container or something that would fit this size, even better to catch the fluid. But I'm going to go with this. First thing we're going to do, I've already taken off the nut and washer on the pitman arm. So that is off. If you can, go out and rent one of these. If you can't find a rental, you might want to buy it, know someone, borrow it. The pitman arm puller is going to make this a whole lot easier than any other way that you think you're going to get this thing off. Like I said, AutoZone, a couple different places, they rent these. You can pick one up. Just easy operation. Put the jaws over top of the pitman arm and then tighten down the center shaft. I'm going to use an impact gun here to tighten up some of that slack. Alright, instructions say you take a nice BFH and you're going to tap the end of the shaft to loosen up the pitman arm. And with any luck, this should come off. Go. That's off. We can set this off to the side. All right, now we got that pitman arm off. Let's hop this up this way so you can take a look. And you can see from here, the bottom of this shaft that the pitman arm was on, there is a snap ring that's on the inside. That has to come out. So let's see if we can get this. One side doesn't want to come out, does it? There it is. All right, snap ring, that's out. We'll place that off to the side. Let's hop this back down. Okay, got that snap ring removed. Bring this around over here. Next thing we're going to do is take the 4 bolts and remove them from this top cover. It's a 9/16. I'm using again my gun real quick, trying to speed this up. All right, bolts are out. All right, with those 4 bolts removed, I'm going to lay down some extra cloth here to stop up some of this fluid when it comes out. You want to get in here, and this seems to be prying out very easy. Now, if for some reason you have difficulty getting this out, you can use like a soft face mallet, and then you'll just tap on the other end and help drive it out. This one seems to be coming out quite easy. Look at that. And look at that, not much mess. Okay, well, the sector shaft assembly is now out, and let me show you something real quick here. If I can clean this up so you can see. If you look at the teeth on this, you can see every single one of those teeth, same size and dimension. This is a constant ratio steering box. You'll have ones that are a variable ratio, and this center one will actually be taller. So your steering effort changes as it sweeps through these 3 gears. But as you can see, these Monte Carlos, they're the 12/7 ratio, and it's the constant ratio. It's very nice. All right, now there's your gasket. We can throw that away. Okay, now we got that cleaned up a little bit. Let's move this around over here so you can see what I'm doing. This end cap has a steel retaining ring that goes around the inside. So what we want to do is there's a pilot hole up here that you can get to the ring. So we're going to snap that in there. Okay, now the ring has popped out enough that I can hopefully use this, and then we'll spin it all around. Oop. Get this thing popped out of here. There we go. All right. Okay, now that the steel retaining ring is out, what we're going to do is we're going to rotate the input shaft on the other side, where that the steering shaft connector will go into. We're going to rotate that counterclockwise, and what it's going to do is it's going to act the same as if you were turning the wheel left, and it's going to push the gear assembly this way, and what it'll do is it'll force this cup out. So I'm going to wrap a little something around this, because I think it's probably, once I get close to the end here, I'm going to need a little grunt to get this thing moved. I don't know if you can see that. It's starting to push the cap out. Probably going to get some more fluid out of this thing when that happens. There we go. Oh yeah. Oh, there she goes. All right. So now there's my end cap. I'll keep turning. Make air. All right. Let's get this bad boy out. Okay. So now that's loosened up, we're going to pull this rack piston out of the housing bore. Make sure this thing is out. There we go. Now, what you're going to notice is when you pull this thing, let me see if I can pop this down here so you can see. When it's pushing this, when it's pushing the rack piston out, you're going to hear a whole bunch of these little boys are going to pop out, the ball bearings that roll around inside of this housing here, and that's the ball bearing action form. So those are going to fall out, and I think that's what a lot of people freak out about, is these little things come out and then they kirk out about trying to get them back in. But it's not that difficult. It's not a super huge deal. There's a bunch of them that came out in this housing. All right. So we'll gather those up. On some models, these small bearings will be different in color. There'll be light ones, like these silver ones, and there'll be dark ones. If you have one of those where it alternates half of the silver and half of the dark, when you put these back in, it's every other. So you're going to go silver, dark, until all of them are back in place. All of these are silver, so I don't have to worry about that. Just got to make sure that they go back in. So now we have this rack piston out, and I'm going to stop for a second, and I'm going to actually clean up my space here a little bit. So give me a second, and I'm just going to put down some new towel and get rid of some of this so I ain't working all greasy like this. Alright, that's better. A little bit cleaner here. Okay, next step. Let's get this up here. The other side, input shaft that we turned to get the piston out on the other side. There is, inside of here, another snap ring that's going to have to come out. Let's pop this straight up here and take this out real quick if we can. Oh, one side doesn't want to go, does it? There we go. So pull this around there. All right. Snap ring. That's out. So the next thing to do is we're going to use my punch and the hammer, and we're going to use a screwdriver because it's sitting right here. And we got to pop this back off, this retainer. Hold this in place. Let's see. I need my punch. Let's lay this down so I can actually get some oomph on this thing. Alright, so we need to drive this off, unscrew it. And not doing this in a vise so you can see is making this a little bit more difficult for me. Keeps wanting to slide around on me. And maybe I can hold it like this. There we go. That's better. All right, let's get this back up here. Okay, this adjuster comes off. Sit this off to the side, and we'll put this back down. All right, if you remember from the first video, there's an adjustment that you make up here to this adjuster plug, and there's a spanner wrench you actually use for this. Of course, I don't have it. I'm using a pair of needle nose pliers, and I'm just fitting them into the two holes for this assembly. So what we did before was an adjustment. What we're doing now is we're actually going to unthread and remove the adjuster plug and the rotary valve assembly from the housing. So we're going to turn this around. I'll try to make sure that I don't block your view while I'm doing it. And we're just basically rotating this out. I might actually have enough now. Alright, it's coming out. There that is, your worm gear assembly, and these are what the bearings ride on, and your O-rings and Teflon seals. That is the stub shaft. That is out. So now our housing is empty, except for a few bearings that I have to knock out. Right now, what I'm looking at is to make sure that there aren't any loose ball bearings or caught up in anything, and that is empty. All right, so housing is out. And everything inside the housing, all the guts have been pulled out, and everything is laid out nice and neat. So what I will do next is I'm going to grab a tool and I'm going to drive some of the different bearings out of this thing, because it all comes new in the kit. Even the snap rings, all that stuff comes in one of the major overhaul kits. So let me grab a punch here. Okay, so now we have our housing, and where the sector shaft was in, and this is the output where the pitman arm was placed on. There's two set of seals with spacers in between them, washers, and then there's a roller bearing down in here. So all of these have to come out, because in the kit all this stuff is provided. So take out the washer, place that aside, just one steel washer, and it actually helps turn this thing over and attack it from the other side. I'm using a pry bar, and it's got a little mini pry bar, and it's got a little bit of an angle here, which helps because that way when you put it down in here, this is an angle toward the rubber seal, and then it'll give a little bite onto it, and that way you can drive these out. They're quite snug in here. Don't go crazy. You just want to tap these things. Different angles, a little bit at a time. I think that's one out. It's almost out there. If you have a seal puller, this will work better. Of course, I don't have one. Got to improvise what you got. First seal is out, and the second one is almost out. There. I think that might have grabbed it. All right. So what you had was seal, washer, and then another seal and washer. Now when you put these back in, this top seal, the one that's closest to the pitman arm side, it's a double seal. So when in the kit there's going to be one single seal, one's a double lip. So just make sure when you're putting it back in, single lip, washer, double lip, washer. That's how that goes in. Now what is left in here is a roller bearing. Roller bearing down in there, if you can see that. Okay, that needs to come out. Alright, for the roller bearing, it's pretty straightforward. Just get something down in here on this lip, and we're just going to drive it straight out the bottom here. Boom. One roller bearing, and that's out. Over with the rest of our parts now. So we have, we've gotten everything out of the housing. Housing's nice and clean. Well, it's clean of the guts of the thing. It needs to spend a little quality time with the parts washer and the scrub brush. We'll move on. Let's see if I can move this thing back out of the way. Okay, here's one of the internal parts. So what you have is, this is the rotary valve assembly, and then you have the worm gear that's on the back of it, and there's an adjuster plug on the front. The adjuster plug, if you remember from the other video, has the two holes, and you tighten this thing down and then back it off, and that gives your kind of your bearing preload in here. Well, this thing comes off into several pieces. So we'll pull the adjuster plug off, sit that here, and then the worm gear comes apart, and that this thing is keyed so it only goes in one way, and then it's got a slot on the side over here, if you can see that, and there is a pin on here, and so basically you can't put it in wrong. It only goes in one way. So now all these pieces are apart. For the adjuster plug, on the inside of the adjuster plug there is a seal and there's a roller bearing in there, and all that has to come out, and you've got this thrust washer on the outside. So drive those bearings out, and there's new seals in the kit when you get it. And right now I've got everything apart, so what I'm going to do is spend a little quality time with the parts cleaner and get all this stuff cleaned off. And then once everything's nice and pretty and clean, then I think in the other video I will show you the assembly process, putting in all the plugs and having everything together. So see you back here next video, and we'll put this big mess of parts back together. So, see you later.